Today, trap is purposely made to be brash, explosive, and loud in its essence in order to capture the attention of listeners in the oversaturated market that hip-hop has become. The success of megastars XXXTentacion and 6ix9ine can be attributed to this style of trap because they both capitalize off of it in order to gain clout for themselves and become commercially viable. Before their absence in hip-hop due to XXXTentacion's June death and 6ix9ine's November arrest, they had abandoned their sound in order to become more mainstream friendly. But still, their success must be accredited to this hardcore sound they embodied, even if some fans cannot respect the artist because of their criminal past. Despite this marketability through outlandishness being seen to have been taken to an untouched extreme by artists like those previously mentioned, it is now being taught by a subgenre currently in its infancy, that not only embraces its hardcore nature through the music, but through its entire identity. This subgenre is trap metal. Trap metal, sometimes referred to as ragecore or industrial trap, is a meeting of elements of the genres nu metal, heavy metal, and industrial with the sounds of trap. In the composition of the music, the artists typically take the vocal techniques of heavy metal, while using the vocal flows and deliveries of contemporary hip-hop, and blending beats and instrumentals of many other adjacent genres. In its presentation and culture, the subgenre is entirely metal, but with most of its subject matter being typical aspects of hip-hop and trap. Critics often argue that trap metal has too little metal to qualify as a subgenre of it, and is more of a trap line and hardcore presentation. While I feel as though some trap metal artists do go this route with their music, there are plenty that do enough to qualify as being just as much metal as they are trap. Because of trap metal in its current state being a point of discovery for most listeners, there are little to no documented accounts of the history of trap metal as a subgenre, or when it definitively materialized on a track. While there had been years that led up to trap metal, with artists that push sounds with undertones of metal in their trap-focused music, trap metal is widely considered to have been first established by the artist Bones, when he in September 2013 released his track Bring Me Back to Life off of his album Cracker. Bring Me Back to Life is definitely trap metal, although it greatly differentiates today's standards for trap metal, with Bones both rapping without distorted vocals and also having purely metal choruses. Bones would continue with his experimentation and genre mixing, but no one is known to have joined him in the scene until early 2015. Prominently, Ghostman would put out his first album, Ooga Booga, on which he was performing trap metal. At the same time, XXXTentacion released metal-influenced trap, but he is widely not considered to be a trap metal artist. In 2015 as well, Bones would receive a major mainstream cosign when he was featured on A$AP Rocky's At Long Last ASAP on the track Canal Street. While Rocky laid out traditional hip-hop verses and the entire track was backed by a beat that cannot be considered trap metal, Bones' verse definitely fit in the sphere of trap metal. Former A$AP Mob affiliate Tyler Grosso explained in his No Jumper interview how the track came to be.
Hey, so what's your perspective on how that Bones and Rocky song came about? Was that Yams' idea?
That song is 100% from Yams.
He just wanted them to work
really
together?
Fucked with Bones.
Right.
He fucked with him hard.
That's crazy.
While trap metal gained the attention of outsiders in the years after Bones' original formation of the subgenre, the now popular artists of trap metal generally didn't begin their participation until early 2017. Subjects, Cameranazi, Zilkami and Sosmula of City Morgue, Scarlord, and Horror did not begin creating trap metal until 2017, although some had made music before it, but it had been more of traditional trap, such as Zilkami and Horror. After trap metal had become more than just a niche that only a handful of artists wanted to invest their musical identity into, it really began to take off. A lot of these names I mentioned are now quite well known in the underground, and have a cemented sound that can be recognized as trap metal. Because trap metal is now relevant enough to warrant discussions such as this, I feel as post 2017 doesn't require much coverage, but some highlights should be noted. Ghostman's Mercury is currently the most viewed trap metal song of all time, currently sitting at just over 100 views. Trap metal albums have also begun to chart, with Suicide Boys' I Wanna Die in New Orleans starting at number 9. When audiences look into the trap metal scene, the subgenre is often interpreted as wild, extreme, and violent, which I can definitely agree with, but these outside audiences view these adjectives as negatives, or will only be present for shock value. In actuality, they're positive, because trap metal intends to act as an unpolished and unapologetically authentic statement on the harsh realities a large portion of America faces every day, through its constant references to substance abuse and gang violence. The Reddit user Sinteki summarized my thoughts quite well. Quote, "They're just dudes showing the non-tourist side of New York, man." Unquote. Looking at the scene as a whole, the artists leading trap metal act as a juxtaposition to traditional trap, because it's been so finely tuned to appeal to suburban America by showing them a glorification of substance abuse and gang violence. While this glorification may not be bad and is sometimes even fun, it's good to see the quote non-tourist side of what's truly happening in America. To close out the video, I want to recommend a few trap metal artists, because although subgenre is foreign to most people, it has accumulated over these past few years a lot of artists who are trying to make it in the scene. To begin, I want to discuss City Morgue, which is made up of the duo Zilkami and Sosmula and their producer Thrax. Zilkami began releasing music in early 2016 after being a ghostwriter for 6ix9ine, which is the reason that his original sound was so trap metal inspired. Sosmula joined him in early 2017 when they began collaborating together. They would officially become City Morgue when their producer Thrax joined them in early 2017 as well. City Morgue is easily one of the most popular acts in trap metal and transcends the subgenre and has become quite popular among hip hop fans in general. While visually and sonically the group is quite literally insane, at their core they show true technical and artistic capability in their material. One of the pioneers of trap metal who was previously discussed is Ghostman, who is actually actually formerly a part of the punk and metal scene before successfully translating his past sound into the underground of hip hop. He has currently released 7 studio albums, with his debut album releasing back in 2015. Personally, I would recommend his tracks Mercury and Death by Dishonor with Poya. Another former metal artist, from when he was in the new metal band Myth City, Scarlord is definitely one of the most interesting artists within the subgenre for me personally. He definitely took his influences with him when he also made his artistic shift for himself to have a more hip hop centric sound. From his discography, I would recommend his single Heart Attack, which has seen virality in terms of the underground, as well as his recent March album Infinity, which was his most commercially successful yet. Looking at this collection of artists, even as a subgenre that is just years old, trap metal has quickly developed, allowing for these pioneers to be able to establish themselves, which both builds an audience for and legitimizes trap metal. The raw energy that is brought into these tracks, while not new to modern music by any means, is definitely new to hip hop because of artists who aim to create this sort of atmosphere while also having hip hop influence have belonged to nu metal and other adjacent genres in the past. Pioneers such as Bones and Scarlord have truly allowed for trap metal to garner attention and support, to the point that in the foreseeable future, the subgenre could easily explode onto the mainstream, because hip hop, being the zeitgeist for this decade's popular music, is proving itself to be more and more unpredictable as time has gone on.